Vucinic, nga mali zi. Dijana është themeluese e DVARP-it, gjithashtu është drejtoresh e Kotor Architectural Prison Summer School. Po si vjet, është komisionere dhe bashkëkuratore e Pavilionit të marrë të zi në Biennalen e Venedikut. Për më shumë, do ta dëgjojmë Dijana.
Thank you. Well, some of you I know through Facebook, or you know me, or you maybe know our work as well. But just briefly, DVARP is an architectural office, very young one and a small one. We're mostly ladies, only a few guys. And we work from Podgorica, Montenegro. Some of us went to schools abroad and kind of came back as some of you as well, and decided to move things a little bit in our own countries and in our own architectural scenes. So just briefly, these are a couple of works that we've done lately. We mainly work on tourism projects, like tourism settlement projects in the mountains and in the coast. This is the one we've done with Dijana Vucinic from Ljubljana, a couple of competitions and then a couple of smaller projects in and around Podgorica and on the coast as well. Kotor APSS, this is something that we work a lot on, and this probably takes the most of our energy, as it is not financially interesting at all. But this is a research platform that we insist on doing. We started 3 years ago, and at that moment, nobody has been doing that kind of work at all in Montenegro. Institutions, as well as older practices, as well as schools, are not used to someone else to do this kind of work. It kind of belongs to them, and they don't want you to just take it over. But we started working on this. The idea was to bring people together from Montenegro, from the region, and also from international scene, and to think about the space in Montenegro. We started with Kotor and will be based in Kotor for some years now, as this is one of the towns on the coast in Montenegro. First, it's UNESCO protected heritage, and then it has been avoided in a way by some big foreign investors that were doing a lot of construction on the coast. So we decided we stay there and we try to kind of influence critical thinking and analytical approach to planning and architecture. But what I'll talk about today mostly is our project that we've done for the Venice Biennale from Montenegrin Pavilion this year. It also started in Kotor APSS. Most of the team that has been doing the project is actually the team that has been working in Kotor last year. So vacuum or substance, I mean, as I've been driving from Montenegro to Pristina today, through Montenegro, Albania, and then Kosovo, I mean, we have a lot in common, and some of you probably know Montenegro, and I mean, I've been driving at least to Albania many times. We carry this, some people call it post-communism heritage in the cities, but I think it's mostly post-socialism or even post-war. It depends on where you come from, or how big is the city, or how big is the heritage. Not only cultural heritage, but also the heritage, the built heritage and architectural heritage. So the 4 examples that we kind of took to Venice are not really representative examples of modern architecture. This was not the goal. Some of them are, and maybe some of them are the most interesting modern architecture that comes from Montenegro, but the goal was to address issues that are really issues, that are really the problems in Montenegro, and that are the questions that we need to deal with as soon as possible. So, we wanted to show this kind of architecture that maybe it's questionable, maybe some of it's not good, or it's ugly, or at least there is not enough of a time distance that we can conclude and say, you know, this is good or this is not good, and we take it as a representative architecture or not. But the idea was to show the real potential of these objects, because all of them have a lot of spatial and architectural potential that nobody else has been paying attention to for a very long time, at least. But also what I wanted to address today is these objects in the context of the city. This is something that we haven't been dealing with through the Biennale project, but this is something that we need to deal with in the near future. Biennale project itself was supposed to be just the beginning of the project. So this is just briefly Kayak Klub Galeb, that's located in Podgorica, capital of Montenegro, built in 1960. Dom Revolucije Nikšić, that has been never finished, located in Nikšić. Spomen Dom Kolašin, also built in 76. And Hotel Fjord, we've been working on Hotel Fjord for a very long time. Now it's in Kotor, and this is kind of our base. It all started there. So Kayak Klub Galeb, it's done by architect Tupe Vukotic. He is a very local architect, but also a very good one from Montenegro. He's been doing urban design and architecture as well. Built in 1960, as I said. Dom Revolucije is done by Marko Mušić, Slovenian architect. Maybe some of you know him already. I mean, he is kind of very famous Yugoslavian architect. Dom Revolucije has been under construction for 10 years, from 1979 to 1989. The project that was chosen in the competition was something like, you see it here, like 9,000 square meters, but by the time the final project was done, it grew to up to like 22,000. This really says a lot about how things have been done at this period in Montenegro and in Yugoslavia as well. Third one is also Marko Mušić. The idea was not to show a couple of his projects, but it's also a very significant one, and it's also a very well-known one for people who know socialism architecture from Yugoslavia. They know this project. And Hotel Fjord is done by Zlatko Ugljan, Bosnian architect. It's constructed in 1986. It's been working for some time, and then in 2005 has been sold to the private owner, private investor. They prepared the object for demolition, and then they went bankrupt. So now it's this huge building right next to Old Town Kotor, which is UNESCO heritage site, that's been standing empty for a very long time. This is, I'm just gonna shortly say, this is the team. Besides me, this is Boštjan Vuga from Southern Vuga in Ljubljana, Simon Hartmann for HHF, Basel, Ilka and Andreas Rubi from Berlin, and Neboj Šarić also from Montenegro. Boštjan, Simon, Ilka and Andreas, we've been working on some projects before this, and with Boštjan and Simon I've been working on a couple of other projects, architectural and research as well. So it all started with Hotel Fjord last year in Kotor APSS. We've been researching this idea of Grand Hotel Fjord with our students, but I'll talk about this a little bit later. I'll go back to the 4 examples now and actually start with Montenegro. I mean, you know this map, of course, at least most of you. Montenegro is very small, it's just like Kosovo now as well. We're just like right next to each other. But why I'm showing this is Montenegro has always been part of this bigger picture, and we had this kind of intention to make things as big as possible in order to stay part of this big picture. And it's been affecting all spheres of our society. It's also the politics, it's also the administration, it's of course the architecture and the built heritage. And at that time, after the World War II, actually during the time of Yugoslavia, we've been part of this ideology that's actually like larger than life ideology. Now, I mean, we have administration that's larger than life because we're trying to be part of the European Union. So it's always this constant trying to be part of something that's bigger and that maybe we cannot compete with in that picture. One example that shows this intention that we've been doing for forever, maybe, it's Dom Revolucije Nikšić, that has never been finished, as I said. Now it looks pretty much like this. This photo is maybe like 2 years old. Like I told you, the project at the competition was like 9,000 square meters. By the time the project was finished, it grew up to 22,000 square meters, and it's huge. It's been built for 10 years, never finished. A lot of money went into it, and about at that time when Tito died and Yugoslavia started to kind of fall apart in the 80s, there was no money left for projects that were this big and that kind of did not belong to the cities that they were planned for. Nikšić is at that moment an industrial town. Some of you maybe know Nikšićko pivo. I mean, I've seen it somewhere on my way here. That's what they're known for. But also this was the town with a lot of factories and a lot of capital at that time, but not as much as they wanted to be, actually. So just to, just so you can have an idea, in the competition there were 23 people in the jury. After the competition there were 90 people who were involved in the project only from the municipality of Nikšić or Montenegro through various kinds of boards that were dealing with the project, with the programming, and so on. And when Marko Mušić was coming to Nikšić, it was like a big celebration. He was really a star because he was supposed to give them this proof that they're actually great society, that they can be a great city that they haven't been before World War II. This is the site, pretty much. This is Dom Revolucije, and this is the orthogonal grid of Nikšić. One good thing about this building, let's say it was finished at these small houses that you've seen here, they're right here. So they're just kind of closing, that they put them just to close this entrance to the building, because there are a lot of people who died there because it's always dark, there are a lot of holes, and it's like a construction site that has never been closed down. This is the image during the construction, which is not very different from what it is right now. And this is just the basic floor plan. It had a big auditorium and a lot of other rooms who were just called like memorial of the mothers who lost their children in the war, a memorial of the veterans, memorial of the youth who lost their life in the war, and so on. So there was not actually a real program that could be fit into the building, and this is the problem now, because even if we decide to finish the building, what's the program for it? Like, can we really find a very good use of it? This is pretty much how it looks now. This is one of the models there. I talked to Marko Mušić several times during the past 2 years, since we've been interested in this subject, and he gave me this huge archive that he has. I mean, they've been working on a project only for 4 years, then the construction site was ongoing for 10 years. So they have tons of projects, models, photos, and so on, and these are some of them. This is pretty much like Marko Mušić is coming to Nikšić, and politicians are really happy about it. So whoever had a request, okay, we should have memorial for my mother, yes, you have it in the building. So the building was just growing all the time. This is from his archive as well as this. So it was kind of very good time when he comes there. And this is from the construction side, so it's pretty impressive. For this time in Nikšić, a small town in Yugoslavia, this was a pretty impressive building. Now this is the Montenegrin Pavilion in Venice, and how we wanted to show these objects is basically, okay, let's not show only the floor plans or the sections or small models that you can look at, but really show the potential of the space so people can really feel how big is it or how many elements it has. So basically this is how you enter the pavilion. You go like this and then you come out here. Maybe some of you visited or seen it in the internet or the Facebook. And these are the models. This is Dom Revolucije. So from each one of the buildings we took one part that we thought it's the most interesting one and that we wanted to show our idea through, and then turned it into a model. This is a 3D model of the model that we've done before going to Venice, and this is how the model looked like. So this is this is like the main hall, the auditorium. And this is how it looks like. The idea was to show the textures as well, as we thought only white models couldn't really show the nature of the space. So we did the textures and the maps. It was really complicated, but we had a very good working team that was working on this. This is during the construction of the models. And you can see Laura, she's the little one. She's Italian, so she's always in the model. And this is during the exhibition, so you can have an idea of how big is it. Now, Titograd is Podgorica. It's the capital of Montenegro. Titograd, it's called, of course, after Tito, and it got this name after the World War II when Yugoslavia was created. Now, there were a lot of questions when we decided to go with this project. First decided to apply for Biennale, and then we were chosen to go with it. And there are still a lot of these questions in Montenegro, like why did we go to Venice with ruins? I mean, we had some modern architecture that's really representative, but we decided to go to ruins. With ruins. I mean, part of it I explained when I said these are the buildings that have no future at the moment, or at least had no future some months ago. And then we thought that Venice is a good time to kind of address these issues and make some future for them. Also, there is not a lot of architectural heritage in Montenegro. I think all the post-war architecture is the actual heritage that we have, and this was really significant time, like for many other parts in Yugoslavia, as we were kind of rebuilding the whole society. Titograd, at least this part that you can see here, it was completely built after the World War II. It was like a city built from the scratch. And Plaža Galeb is the object that really shows this intention to break with these Eastern kind of associations in architecture and society as well, and turn to the kind of Western approach to architecture and city planning and the way of life as well. This is a pavilion. It's a kayak club, but it's also a restaurant and a beach bar and so on. Built in 1960. Now, this is also a significant time because during this time, actually, just 1 year after the 1960, the railway from Podgorica, as well as the main road from Podgorica to the coast, actually to Bar, has been built. So Morača, which is a river that goes through Podgorica, really lost its significance as people were able to travel and be in like 1.5 hours on the coast and relax on the beach, on the sea, instead of staying on the river. So Kayak Club Galeb has been working for a while as a very good public space on the river, but after a while it just lost this position in the city, which was really too bad. This is how it looks like, and then this is already when it was pretty empty. This was in 1969, the photo. Now it looks like this. It's still used by the kayak club Morača, and it's used only as a storage space for kayaks, and there is no public life at all going on in there. For Galeb, it was actually this was the most complicated building to do the model of, as it is small. The scale wouldn't fit into other scales because it would be too small, and then we were not really sure what is it that we wanted to show. We took this part and we decided to look from the building towards the river and not the other way around. And this is the model that came out of it. So the wallpaper is the actual wallpaper, is the actual view from the building, and the textures are real textures from the site. Now, Spomen Dom Kolashin this is like a star of the pavilion. Everybody likes the objects, and it's really the most interesting one. But this is Kolashin. It's a northern town in Montenegro, like a very small one. And this is Spomen Dom. It's been built at the point when there was a celebration of the national liberation of Montenegro and Boka. And in order to celebrate this anniversary of national liberation, they decided to build this big building that's actually a monument that you can use. And this was also very significant in other parts of Yugoslavia. After building all the possible monuments that you can build, then we decided to build monuments that you can actually use. This was right after the construction. It's all concrete. This is one of the models from Mušić Arhaj. This is also right after construction. This is now. This is actually like 2 years ago, the photo. And it's still used. This is one of the objects that we've chosen that's still used, but it's used in a way that's not really programmed like this when it was built. The main auditorium, which is right here, is not used anymore. This used to be like a city theater and a space for conferences and so on. These kind of cubicles, large cubicles, are used by different political parties. All of them really don't like each other in one place. And this is the administration wing that's been used by the municipality. So it's used but not very good, and has a lot of technical problems as it was really a monument. It's like a sculptural building. It's not the actual building that's been built very, very well. So we decided, for the model, we decided to build this middle auditorium with a few of these extra spaces. And of course, outside, like all the models, are just white surface, and inside we show the textures. And this one is, actually you can tell that it's really built to be a sculpture, because there is almost no good content inside. This is during the construction process. And now Kotor. Kotor is, for us, the most important place, of course, because we base our research there as well. This is the old town Kotor. Some of you maybe know it. It's the UNESCO Protected Heritage Site, as I said before. And so this is the view from the hill, and then you're looking towards the sea here. It's a Boka Bay area, very beautiful site and very well known. But this is also the problem. I mean, as much as we need planning, and especially also when I travel to here, I mean, we see this in every corner, in every of our cities and outside the cities, the absence of planning. But planning for some people means preservation and conservation as well. And this can be very wrong at some points. For example, Kotor, you can barely build anything near the city, and you can barely deal with this urban planning near the city. So you have this new part of Kotor, you can see the old town, and this is kind of the new part. That's been built after the World War II. This is Jugoslavia building, representative modern building, and this is Hotel Fjord. It's built in the basically in the 80s. So you can see that these can coexist, but at this moment, if you decide to build something here, it's almost impossible because there is nothing that can be built near UNESCO site. This is pretty much how the tourism is based in Kotor. So there are a lot of cruisers that come there daily. 5 of them during the day, and then there are a lot of tourists that walk around the city every day, but none of them actually stay there, none of them spend time there, or none of them get to know the city very well. But this works well for the municipality because you can see it, it's so public, and then you can tell, there are so many people coming there. There's a cruise ship that's bigger than Kotor itself, you cannot even see it. But it's very wrong at the same time because these people don't spend any money and there is no real tourism value at this point. What's also very wrong about this place is they look at Kotor like this kind of ancient museum. It's so protected, you cannot touch anything or deal with anything. It reminds me of like a way people approach Disneyland. It's so fabulous, you're so happy about it, and then by the end of the day you're just out of it. And then this term Disneyfication that you can really use very well, not only for Kotor but for other cities like Dubrovnik that are UNESCO site in the Adriatic, and Trogir and maybe others. I mean, these are the images that can fit into any of these cities. Like if you look at Disneyfication, which basically says it's the process through you strip out the any image of this place or any how do you say that? Any value it has that makes it site specific, and then what's left out of it is just nothing. It's just this clean and perfect world that you can only observe and that you cannot live with. But this is Kotor. I mean, it's a medieval city. There is nothing clean or sanitary about these cities. They used to smell very bad. They used to be terrible. So it's not like you're observing history as it was. So that's why we turn to this part that it's supposed to be a new town. But it's not a new town because you cannot actually plan anything there yet, and it's very hard to plan or to build anything. And we took Hotel Fjord. Hotel Fjord has been built at this point when the society was turning to the kind of Western way of life and trying to attract Western tourists and trying to attract people who live and think and consume differently in a Western way. Something that everybody is trying to kind of get away from now. So Fjord was supposed to create this image of a very well-planned resort that we can have even in the Eastern Europe, even in Yugoslavia. These are the images of Hotel Fjord from the publication that was done as a commercial one. And now it's completely empty. I mean, it hasn't been very well working then because there was no actual strategy. And then at some point, strategy for many countries from this region was just like sell it and attract investors and have them invest and have them build something better and larger and prettier. But now it just stays empty like this. There is nothing. It's prepared for demolition, and it's probably never going to be demolished because there is no one to build a new one, but it's also there is no one to just reconstruct this one and use it as a hotel. Hotel Fjord. As for any other building, we decided to build one part of it, and it was mostly a section. So you can actually see how great this space inside is. I mean, it's maybe an ugly architecture. Zlatko Ugljen, who was famous Yugoslavian architect doesn't even have this building on his reference list. He doesn't consider it as a reference. He doesn't consider it as a good architecture. But is it really important if it's a very pretty building that we can say, you know, this is a very good modern building? What it has is a huge potential of the space. It's facing the sea, but it's facing north as well because it's the bay. So you always have this view without the sun in your eyes, which is completely unusual for the coast of Montenegro. And you can see the model shows the exact this part, this view from the inside towards the sea, where you can see the actual position of the building, the views, and the potential of the space. This is with people inside, so you can see how it looks like. For any of you who want to check it out, this is the page where you can see it. And we decided to continue working in Kotor. This year we wanted to address the issue of the actual resort in Kotor. Like, what is it that we have to offer to tourists after an era of all-inclusive resorts? Because the era of all-inclusive resorts is pretty much over, not only on the Adriatic in Montenegro or Croatia, but also in other parts of the world. So we need to rethink, we need to reconsider, like, what is it that tourists are looking for that can be used very well and that can be actually built. This is the team that's been working on the Biennale, and this is Kotor for this year, so any of you who are around on the 18th and 19th, this is the finale when we'll have panel based on the results of the workshop, and also a conference at the very end. So this is pretty much it. If you have any questions. Yeah, that's a good question. Fjord is not. Fjord is owned by this, I think, Irish company that bought it in 2005. And for the past year, we've been dealing with this because they are still the owners. They haven't invested anything, and this is a prime location. And there are certain laws that are kind of made to make you invest in a prime location, but it's not working very well. All others, yes, they're owned by the government, pretty much, I mean, by the cities and by the government.
Any detail? No? Okay. Thank you, Dijana, for the presentation.